What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you are listening to Liquid Kernedge. Almost the holiday itself, Christmas, right around the corner.
Yes, and last week's episode of Here Comes Santa Claus was a very successful episode. People seem to really like the holiday spirit, so I think that we did our part by bringing the holidays to our listeners. And
That's good, man.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate that. And I'm glad the listeners want to hear our perspective on the holidays because you and I are two very different people in a lot of ways. But I think we view the holiday very similar to us. I know for me, and I'm pretty sure for you, it's not nearly as magical or as some people have it. It's more just another day. It's a very quiet day for some of us.
Yeah, it's like a day off.
Yeah, basically.
It's a day off.
One I will happily take, though.
Yeah, I don't even get Christmas Eve off either, so I've got to work on Christmas Eve. But, oh well.
You know, I'm actually opting to work on Christmas Eve myself. It's just, yeah, I can work for a few hours and get some stuff knocked out for the week and then take the rest of Monday off and all of Tuesday, and then I'll just take some time off throughout the rest of the week, too. So it'll be nice.
Very good. Well, the other reason why this was an important episode is that we have now reached out into far corners of the earth. We actually had our first listener from the Philippines and from Qatar.
Qatar?
Yeah, Qatar. And Hawaii. We finally landed Hawaii. So aloha to our people over there in Hawaii. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening.
Mala Kalikimaka is the thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day. So let's say that to our Hawaii listener. I hope this is going to get downloaded for him too, or her.
Her or him, yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly.
So before we get started on today's show, we want to hear what your holiday plans are. Are you going to your parents' house? Are your parents coming to you? Are you going to go get drunk in Vegas? What are your plans for Christmas? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Kernedge. And if you want to see Tom wearing a Grinch costume, hit him up at liquid_EP. Chances are, if it's an resounding yes, please do it, Tom. He still won't. But if the fans speak enough, he just might get drunk and do it.
Well, and, we're on a roll, my friend. We have actually hit 3 episodes in a row that no matter what I say or could try to force it, our executive producer has liked the last 3 episodes.
Right. I would say that's because we're hitting our groove, man. We're hitting our sweet spot. And after almost 2 years of doing this, because we started probably, in February?
April.
Was it April?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we started talking about it in late February.
Yeah, we started recording in February, but we didn't release our first episode until April.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of the recording sessions. We started almost 2 years ago, so we've come a long way in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I got a very nice note from my friend Crystal down in Surprise this week. She downloaded and started listening to shows for the first time at work this week, and she was very happy and very excited to download more. She thought we were a lot of fun. So thank you, Crystal, for downloading and checking us out. So we'll give that shout out too.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe we need to come up with the listener of the month.
Right.
Listener of the month who gets something even more special, like maybe a minute segment on one of the episodes. So that we can start honoring these wonderful people that listen to us week in and week out.
Do you think we can get Tom to sit still for a 8x10 portrait he can autograph and send out to all these listeners of the month?
I think so.
I think so. I mean, wouldn't that be cool?
Considering he's been here since the beginning, I definitely think that we should be able to get him down for a headshot.
I think so. I think if we get Tom in like a Steve Jobs turtleneck, it could be very artistic. I think.
Yeah.
Or we can pay the money and actually get him a Star Trek uniform. Not a red shirt, but we get him like a nice Next Generation Picard.
Oh, that'd be nice. Or heck, you could even do one of the blue shirts if you really wanted to get into it.
That's true.
I mean, he could be a Spock or a Dr. McCoy.
That's very true. He could. He's very analytical like that.
Exactly. Wow. Okay, we got a lot of great ideas for the upcoming year. Awesome.
So funny story. I was getting my hair cut today from Josh, who's been on the show at now the Beale Street Barbers, and he's opened his own business. He's gotten away from his previous employer and gone out on his own.
Oh,
they've got a cool new barbershop in downtown Kingman, the Beale Street Barbers. It's a very cool place, Josh and Santana. There, if you haven't gotten your haircut by them, please go get your haircut by them. These guys are great, and it's an old school barber shop. You never know what kind of conversation you're going to walk into. And Josh is a trip. When you talk to him, you never know from second to second what the topic's going to be. And he's a great guest on the show, and he wants us to come in the barbershop and actually do a show with him again. So I told him I would work on getting you up to Kingman one weekend so we could sit down and maybe have an after-hours conversation about tales from the barbershop and some other wild stories that he has had in his barber career.
Well, we've done it before where we did you doing your tattoo.
Yeah.
And so that is not out of the question at all. I think it would be a great time. Josh had a great episode that he recorded with us, so let's do it again.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that's a good topic for today, because Josh and his partner Santana have been partners in, I guess, the barber world for years, and they ventured out on their own to do this. And that brings the question, isn't it a good idea to go into business with your friends?
Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. Continue. Great topic.
No, I'm curious because, I watch these guys go back and forth, and they are like brothers. I mean, there's give and there's take, but they spend literally between 40 and 60 hours a week together in a bar, in a closed and confined space, running a business. And they had to put their own money up to do this. But in fairness, they've been doing this for a while, so I believe that they'll be fine. I mean, they've got a good business clientele, and I think most barbershops and hair salons are pretty much like this, where you have to like who you're working around to be able to do this with them, with each other. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But if you start looking outside and how many businesses get started and succeed or fail, how many people are start a business with their friends not really knowing what the hell's going on?
Yeah. I think that's game one or rule or the first thing that it would scare me about going into business with a friend is, do I know enough about how to keep the business going outside of the personal relationship?
Yeah. Do you know how to run a business too? That's the other thing. Have you ever owned a business?
Okay.
I mean, these are all topics that I don't think people think about. And I've watched quite a few scenarios locally because I live in a smaller town. I'm sure you see it in the bigger cities too, where people dive into a business not really knowing what they're doing. Like, oh, I can run a restaurant. That's fine. So, my best friend and I are going to open up a restaurant, and it's going to be great. And before you know it, you're $100,000 in debt. You don't like each other anymore, and you can't figure out who's going to pay the debt you owe, even though your doors aren't open.
Well, I think that once you add the money component into it, that's got to be a fundamental change in the relationship that you have to address and know how you're going to move forward with. Because to me, that once you put money down into a friendship like that,
dynamics change.
The dynamics change. Isn't that a rule that you've ever heard? You don't loan money to friends, you give it to them, because then that way, if you don't get it back, you're not ruining your friendship. I could see a business relationship being very similar to that.
Yeah. And I think back, we have a very successful company here in town that these guys started off in the same field, and I'll just, for anonymity, I won't say what it is, or, I'll try to avoid making it too obvious. They started working for a company years ago. And like I said, I was still, at the wellness center. So it was 20 years ago when I met them. And these were young kids, a little bit older than me, working for the same small town company, doing, we'll say, plumbing, just to make it easier.
Okay.
And when that shop closed, they went out and they started their own business, and it's become a huge business. They're all over Mojave County, up in Vegas. I mean, they're branching out fast. And one partner bought the other partner out, and I think halfway through this, friendships were lost because you were two friends that started the business, and inevitably someone becomes bitter.
Oh, yeah.
And so now there's only one business owner. The other one's been paid out, paid out, whatever. And life's hunky dory for him because he got that lump sum. But you know what I'm saying?
It's one of those things that you've got to. I think it also, there's so much that goes into it that it would be hard. I mean, you've heard the story about I could never work with like my girlfriend, probably for the exact same reason. It's like, once you add in another level to the dynamic of the partnership, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah. And that's the thing that when I look at these things, they concern me. That, do you know enough about that person you're going into business with? Just because it's cool and you guys get along, you have a lot of similar interests. Do you know how they handle their money? Do you know how, what their credit score is? Um, More importantly, are you going to incorporate? Are you going to do a partnership? Or are you just going to, go right into it as the sole proprietors and see what happens?
Yeah, it's funny because I went to an attorney asking them questions about, forming a partnership, forming a corporation, when I was thinking about going into business for myself. And
On a side note, is this when you were doing you had an idea to mass create, what was that thing we found? Together alone, I can do it, but together alone, or a single alone, together we thrive. What was that? You remember?
Okay, I thought we were going to mention specifics.
Sorry. Sorry.
See, this is why we will never go into business together. Let's just stick with the free podcast that there's no money changing hands, because
this cost us both $27.50 or $55 a year. Okay, so we're business partners.
We are business partners.
Money has changed hands. You and I are partners, pal.
Alone I survive, together we thrive.
That's the one. You were going to be a millionaire.
I was going to be a multi-gazillionaire until I found out that Hobby Lobby already has sold.
Yeah, and you were wondering, you got such a great idea. One drunken walk through the Hobby Lobby, and it's game over. But no, that wasn't the idea. It was a different business idea. But it was the business idea when I came up with the famous 4-card deck. Oh, I remember that, yeah.
So I go to the attorney to ask him questions, and one of the first things out of his mouth is, do not form a partnership, form a corporation. And I said, well, why would I do that versus a partnership? He said, because a partnership is like a marriage, and it is a bear if you ever want to break up a partnership. A corporation it becomes its own entity. And so if you have a partner that you don't want to do business with anymore,
you can buy them out.
Buy their shares, and they're done. So, what I mean? It's like one of those things where it's better to do that. So I always kept that in my mind, that how you form that business is so important, because if you form a business like a partnership, you're basically getting married, and you're married to that person no matter what. Now, maybe it turns into something good. I mean, Sears and Roebuck are now just Sears.
Just Sears
Yeah, Barnes and Noble are still together. So what does that tell you?
That's true.
It all depends. Ben and Jerry. They stayed together.
Or just Jerry. They stayed together for the kids.
So if you were going to join a partnership with a friend, what do you think one or two things you think just off the top of your head, I would need to do this in order to be successul with that person?
I would have to literally vet everything with them about what we're going to do. And I'd have to, honestly, how do you handle your finances? This is what I do. How do you do it? I need to know how you do your business, and I need to show you how I do mine, so we can figure out what annoys us and what can be a common middle ground.
Okay, so you'd have to really vet it out.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to have a full understanding of your partner's institutional knowledge of what you're doing. I think that's huge.
Okay, so for example, when you think about the relationship between Steve Jobs and Wozniak, how do you think they handled the business side together?
I would like to think that they handled that business side professionally, amicably, because money was at stake. Big money was at stake in those guys.
Because, I could see in a business partnership that you could have one person who is I'm the production guy. I make the product. I design the product. I came up with the product idea. And then the other person is, I'm the sales guy. I'm the one that's going to sell the product and make sure that happens.
Yeah.
Because if you have two people that are both the production or design the engineering part, they're going to be common when it comes to building it and making it, but maybe they won't be common on how to sell it.
Well, that's the, probably a good way of putting it is, my mom's always said this about my brother and I, about our executive producer, Tom, and I, we could actually be very successful running a business if he ran the back of the house and I ran the front of the house, because we have two different skill sets, and I think if you're two separate partners that have two different skill sets and you know how to maximize the others, each person's set, I think you can be successful. But if you don't know that other person's strengths and weaknesses, I mean, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. Do you know you've probably done those personality profiles?
Yes, the Briggs-Myers tests.
Yeah, the Briggs-Myers test where they break you into a certain either grouping of you answer a bunch of questions,
Yeah.
and based on the choice of those questions and answers, it puts you in a personality profile.
Yeah.
And each quadrant of the personality profile has its strengths and its weaknesses. And, I do feel that if two friends are going to go into business together, having, like you said, that full understanding of what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and do I mesh with that?
Yeah.
Because if two people are both, man, I'm strong, I'm a go-getter, it's my way or the highway, but I'll drive the project, then one of you is going to have to step back and, take the lead or not take the lead. I think that could be, important. And I think it kind of goes into what you were talking about is I need to know the ins and outs of what how you handle money, how you handle these situations. You're right. I think that would be a really important feature to have.
Absolutely. And that's just covering your own ass, to be honest with you. That is nothing more than making sure that you're protecting your own investment.
Part of that also leads to, are you a hard worker? Because you've heard about those situations where one guy or person is doing all the work and the other one is not as driven or not as hardworking as the other. That can draw a lot of frustrations too, personality wise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was something very interesting that I was listening in Phoenix. I have sports radio available to me. So every morning on the way to work, I listen to sports radio.
KZAR.
KZAR. Yeah. And one of the things that they said in the video on the radio that they said was so successful about Bruce Arians, Michael Bidwell, and Steve Keim as a trio of management is each of them stayed in their lane.
Yeah.
So like Bruce Arians handled coaching. Steve Keim never got involved with coaching. That was Bruce Arians' part. Steve Keim handled management part. Michael Bidwell handled ownership part. And they knew their lanes and stayed within their lanes. And it was a very successful relationship. And now they've gotten into the point with this new coach that they're not able to stay in their lanes because they don't have that kind of relationship. And you can see what's happening to the Cardinals this year.
Yeah, we're a dumpster fire, yeah.
And I'm wondering if in business, once you identify what lane you're going to drive in, stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
If you're marketing, then you focus on marketing. Don't get into how I build the product. Don't get into how I, manufacture inventory and all that other stuff.
Yeah, it's like it. If you're in finance, stay in the finance world.
Yeah.
Don't try to go into marketing. Don't try to go into sales. Understand what your strengths are, and encourage your other partners or employees to do the things they're good at.
Which is hard though, because if you're an entrepreneur, your immediate sense is, or the stereotype that you would have is, well, this is a driven person. Look at them. I mean, they're starting their own business. They're taking the risk. They're doing it on their own. That they must be a strong A personality type of person. And in some cases, like I said, they may not be the A-driven personality. They just have the good idea.
Yeah.
And they need someone with the A personality to help them bring that idea to fruition.
Yeah. So would you start a business with one of your friends? Podcast excluded, because we're only in this for $110 a year. So we can maintain a friendship for that.
And I'll tell you this, Scott, I was about ready to ask you the same question, so I'll try to answer it first.
Okay.
Would I go into business with one of my friends? I feel, and I'm going to give you my true, I feel very close to Noreen on so many areas. We have a patience level. Each of us has a patience level that matches each other. Each of us has, like her strengths are organization and processes and making sure things are done. The same result goes in, comes out. I'm the flash. I'm the personality. I'm the sales guy.
Yeah.
So that's a good combination, right? I feel that, our everything about us would be great partners together. we've talked about buying real estate or buying into investment properties. And because I am more of a risk taker than she is, I don't know if I would go into business with her, because I just feel like she's such a careful, don't take any risk that I don't understand, versus me. It's like, hey, if something's hot, you got to go for it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that. Now, that being said, she's about the closest person I know. If I couldn't go into business with her, I probably could not go into business with a friend.
That's fair.
Because
That's
I wouldn't want to ruin the relationship over something like that. I mean, because see, once again, for me, as soon as you put money into the discussion, I immediately get red flags up. I handle my money different than you handle your money. I don't want to get into, well, why are you spending money doing this? That's not how, I don't want, that's where I would probably. So in my initial thoughts, I can't think of a situation where I would go into business with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And maybe because I don't want to jeopardize the friendship when you add money into it. Whereas if you're going to business with someone who's not a friend of mine, but is a partner, I could see it being even easier to do that, because I don't have that close relationship that could be jeopardized. And I say this realizing how stupid that is, that you're going to go into business with a total stranger or someone that you don't trust, but you're not going to go into business with someone that you would give your life for.
Isn't that interesting though? Because you are more willing to take a risk with a total stranger that, if you had to, you could kill them. Not like literally kill them, but cut them off at the knees from a business sense, and you have no problem doing that. But you feel more comfortable doing that with a stranger versus someone that you know and love.
Yeah, I know. I'm even questioning it myself, but in my gut, I think that I truly think that if I couldn't go into business doing something with someone like Noreen, I probably should stay away from going into business with a friend.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
Now, what about you?
It's funny. Like I go back to the example of my brother and I buying land together and whatnot. We've talked about it. We've discussed it. And I think he'd be like me, a little bit more of a risk taker than we were raised to be when it comes to getting some of this money or some of this land. But as far as like investment properties go or other businesses, I don't know. Like it'd have to be, we're just paying someone to run it for us, and we can be investment people. But I don't know if we could actually run a business together. And for that fact, I'm not sure I can run a business with anybody. I'm very easygoing for the most part until my money's at stake. And then it's all businessman. And I want to protect my money and make money. So by any means necessary.
Well, and in every business, I guess, if you're going to go into business with someone, you have to identify what is the one thing that is most important to you.
Now, let me ask you this, though. Would you ever go into business to not make money, but just to have a business?
To have like, you mean like open up a restaurant without having it to have to make money, but just be with the friend?
Yeah, like, you're not going to make any money out of it, but what the hell? Like, we'll say it serves a community need, whether it's the community in or a smaller community. Would you ever just open a business to open it knowing you're not going to make any money out of it? You're just hoping to break even?
That I could do. I think I could do that, because I'm hoping that something philanthropic or something like not-for-profit organization that helps people. Yeah, because then you're doing something that makes you feel good with friends that makes them feel good as well. So maybe that's the key difference. Yeah.
Now take out philanthropic on that. Like, what if you opened up, I don't know, we'll say like a neighborhood, hardware store, dry cleaning plant that will make no money. You might have to pay out a couple $100 every few months because that's just the way it is. But the community needs it. It's not a charity thing, but it's something the town needs. But you're not going to make any money owning it.
I could do that with a friend. I could do that.
Wow. Okay, you're a better man than I am.
No, wait a minute. You could do it too if money wasn't the need, right?
Why would you own a business if you can't make money at it?
Because you're doing something for your community.
So
it's like when you do your children's fairs and your men's health fairs and women's health fairs, you're not making any money doing that. You do it because there's a need for it in the community. So
I'm doing it for the greater good, because the business I work for makes money by educating people about our services through there.
But you're a not-for-profit hospital, right?
Yeah, but we have to reinvest into the hospital. What I do.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, if you open up that neighborhood
No,
store.
I could I do it with a friend? Yeah, I could. I'm not the type of person that would want to do something that I wasn't going to make and grow as a business. That's just my personality. I mean, opening up just a 5 and dime store in the local town, so this town has a 5 and dime and being loved by the community. I guess I couldn't. I mean, I would do it with a friend, but I wouldn't do it because I was making money. So if that's the case, I probably wouldn't do it. So okay, I see where you're at.
Yeah.
I see where you're at.
Yeah.
But I would do it. Hey, but if I had to, I would do it with you, buddy.
I appreciate that. I would open up. I think you and I could actually be pretty decent business owners, even though we're both sales guys. You're smarter financially than I am. And I'm smart to let you handle that stuff. And I can do all the heavy lifting, whatever else you need to do.
Yeah, but see, and once again, I think this is where it comes back to me. Mm-hmm. At some point, we're going to have to make that tough decision. Whether it's, do we grow the business or invest in paying off debt? You know what I mean? And at that point, once it comes right back to money, that's where I think where I'd have to say, man, because at some point when your partner's like that, someone's going to have to acquiesce.
It tests a friendship. It tests a relationship. And if you don't have a strong relationship, and you can't go into something like that where ignorance is bliss.
And let's be honest, I think both of us are honorable, ethical people, but there's a lot of people that would do anything to make a buck.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I could think about situations where, well, heck, a couple of weeks ago, remember we talked about what would you do if you found out that I was hitting Noreen?
Yeah.
And you said, not only would it be frustrating and I would be angry at you, but then it'd put my friendship into question. What about business owners when they find out that their business partner has been doing unethical things? I mean, oh my gosh. I mean,
for the record, I didn't say it was frustrating. I said, beat your ass and our friendship would be over. It'd be a totally different thing.
Exactly. So, I mean, in business, that would be bad too, because now you also have the friendship, but you also have money in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you also have,
yeah. And that's what, I sit here and I watch these people do this, and I understand business is business. And at the end of the day, I think that's what's forgotten by some people, that at the end of the day, business is business. You have to check friendships at the door. And if you're going to own a business, to own it and not make money, you're a damn fool. And that's why your business won't succeed.
Maybe what we need to do is one of these days get Jenna and her husband on, because he runs a successful business.
He does.
She is the back end, the bookkeeper. They seem to be able to work together on that without having detrimental. So maybe it'd be interesting to have a follow-up podcast with some people like that, where, maybe Josh and Santana, maybe Jenna and her husband, get on the podcast and say, what's the keys to success?
Well, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but, for Jenna and Matt, her husband, I think it's because Jenna has a full-time job and she comes home and does the book work and helps out where she can. But ultimately, Matt runs the day-to-day.
Well,
I think that's the key to it. It's you're not, it's hard. I think when you start something from the ground up like that, and it's something very unique, like, because it's a trucking company, you learn on the fly, and and that's a scenario where they're golden with it. But how many people try to do that and it doesn't work out for them?
Well, and the other thing I have to probably imagine too is that at some point they might have discussions. They might have, I don't think we should do it this way. Oh, I think we should do it this way. One of them probably makes the ultimate decision. This is the way we're going to go. And the other person says, you know what? At the end of the day, this is your decision. You go with it. Yeah. And so maybe that has to be part of the discussion when we talk about personalities, is at some point, someone is the CEO and someone is the president, like someone has to make the final decision. And, no matter how much they want to disagree, at the end of the day, this is my decision and this is the way I'm going to go. So
I agree. So would you open up a business with your friend or friends? What would you do? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Kernedge. Would you open up a business with Tom at Liquid_EP? Hit him up there and I can't wait to see what his swear trek of the GIF of the week is with these notes. It should be entertaining.
Well, I will say this, Scott. We do this as a labor of love, but I can honestly say this would never ruin our friendship. I always enjoy the time we spend together, recording and making this out for the people that listen to us. So thank you very much for all of you that listen. Great episode. That was a fun topic. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. It was a good time.
And that was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.
Oh, and Merry Christmas.